The brother of the King of Malaysia, Prince Fakhry, married a young American model named Manohara Odelia Pino, despite many obstacles. Their marriage initially seemed like a fairy tale, captivating the public and sparking envy from many. However, just a year after the wedding, Manohara fled, revealing shocking truths that shook the world. What truly occurred behind the walls of the palace? How did her mother, who had her own dark past, become entangled in this scandal? What challenges did Manohara face after escaping to her home country? And what happened to her and Prince Fakhry 16 years later? The story of Malaysia's royal family is more complex and tragic than anyone could have imagined. Manohara Odelia Pino was born in 1992 in Jakarta, Indonesia. Her heritage was a mix of Indonesian and American roots, as her mother, Daisy Fajarina, was Indonesian and her father, George Mance, was American. Unfortunately, her parents divorced when she was just 2 years old, and she stayed with her mother. Daisy, an ambitious woman with a complicated past, had been married 4 times and had 2 daughters from different men. Constantly on the move between Europe and Asia, she dreamed of a glamorous future for her children. Daisy enrolled Manohara in dance classes, modeling schools, and high society events from an early age. By the time Manohara was 12, she had already entered the modeling world, and by 14, she was gracing the covers of magazines and was considered one of the most beautiful young women in Indonesia. It seemed that fame and fortune were destined for her. In 2006, Manohara's life took an unexpected turn when she was invited to a royal banquet in Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. There, she met Prince Mohammed Fakhry of Kelantan, who was twice her age. The prince was immediately taken with the young model and began courting her relentlessly. He frequently visited Jakarta, showering Manohara with extravagant gifts. Initially, she felt flattered by the prince's attention, but as time passed, his persistent advances and the considerable age gap began to make her uneasy. Despite her concerns, her mother saw this as an incredible opportunity for her daughter. After all, marrying a prince meant power, influence, and financial stability. Daisy, who was already struggling with significant debts, encouraged Manohara to accept the prince's proposal and even negotiated a large dowry. At first, their wedding was delayed due to Manohara's young age and the absence of a legal male guardian. However, when she turned 16, the couple married, and Manohara believed she was embarking on a fairy tale life. But soon, things took a dark turn. After the wedding, Manohara often attended official events with her husband, and they appeared happy to the public. She gained weight, which many assumed was a sign of her enjoying her new royal life. However, behind closed doors, her life was far from idyllic. Manohara later revealed the shocking truth of what happened after the wedding. She lived under strict control, rarely allowed to leave her room. In an attempt to help her conceive, she was given medications that caused rapid weight gain and changed her appearance drastically. While the public saw a happy wife, the reality was that she lived in constant fear. The prince's guards ensured she always appeared cheerful during public events. She was forced to maintain the facade of happiness, as any signs of dissatisfaction were considered an insult to the royal family. Despite several attempts to escape, she was always brought back to the palace. 6 months after the wedding, Manohara managed to return to Indonesia in secret. The prince, however, quickly followed her, offering a luxurious car and inviting her and her family to make a pilgrimage to Mecca. But after the pilgrimage, he took Manohara back to Malaysia, while her mother was banned from entering the country. Desperate, her mother reached out to the Indonesian government and the National Commission on Human Rights, pleading for help. As negotiations between the 2 countries began, Manohara remained trapped in the palace, cut off from the outside world. In May 2009, a glimmer of hope appeared. The prince's father, Sultan Ismail Petra, became gravely ill and was taken to Singapore for treatment. Seizing the opportunity, Manohara made a final attempt to escape. While in the elevator of the Royal Plaza Hotel with the prince's guards, she saw her chance. She jumped out of the elevator, triggered the fire alarm, and screamed for help, drawing attention. The hotel security and local police intervened, preventing the prince's bodyguards from taking her back. With the support of the Indonesian and U.S. embassies, Manohara was able to fly back to Jakarta. The news of her bold escape spread like wildfire across the globe. Upon her return, Manohara held a tearful press conference, revealing the horrors she had endured in the palace. She filed a lawsuit against the prince in Indonesia, seeking justice for the abuse she had suffered. However, the prince denied all accusations and filed a defamation lawsuit against her and her mother in Malaysia, winning the case. The court ordered Manohara not only to return to her husband, but also to pay him nearly $2 million. Manohara refused to comply, knowing that returning to the prince would mean losing her freedom once again. Instead, she filed for divorce, determined never to look back. After her return to Indonesia, life for Manohara became anything but peaceful. The scandal surrounding her escape quickly turned into a bitter family drama, with emotions running high and money playing a significant role. Her biological father, George Mance, sided with the prince and accused Daisy of manipulating Manohara. Meanwhile, her stepfather, her mother's third husband, sought to take Manohara to France, claiming that he had raised her. This tug-of-war for control only added to the chaos in Manohara's life. She later admitted that this was the most painful period following her escape. Amid the turmoil, human rights organizations in Indonesia called for an investigation into her mother's role in exploiting Manohara, even suggesting that she be deported due to her U.S. citizenship. Public opinion became divided, with some expressing sympathy for Manohara and others questioning the truth of her story, particularly when rumors spread that her mother had accepted money before the marriage. When Manohara returned to Indonesia, she was broken, both physically and emotionally. It took her years to recover, but today, at the age of 32, she has become a symbol of strength and resilience. She resumed modeling and acting, earning the nickname, the Runaway Princess. But perhaps her greatest accomplishment is the work she has done for animals and the environment. Manohara has become an active advocate for animal welfare, rescuing injured and endangered animals, and she is deeply involved in humanitarian efforts. She now speaks openly about her experiences, hoping to help other women who find themselves in difficult situations, reminding them that survival is possible. In 2020, Manohara publicly announced that she had converted to Christianity, and in 2024, her name once again made headlines when she shared photos with a new man on social media. The pictures showed her looking calm and content, as if she had found the peace that had eluded her for so long. Meanwhile, Prince Fakhry's life had also been tumultuous. In 2010, he lost his royal title following a scandal involving his brother's bodyguard. Little is known about his personal life after the divorce, though he focused on politics and eventually succeeded in the field. In 2022, his title was reinstated, and in early 2024, he was named the Crown Prince of Kelantan. Perhaps, in the near future, we will hear about his new wife. Hopefully, her life will be happier than Manohara, as life in a palace is not always as glamorous as it seems. The story of Manohara and Prince Fakhry is one filled with pain, manipulation, and ultimately escape. It is a reminder that behind the grandeur of royal life, there can be hidden suffering. The question remains, who was more at fault in this tragedy, the prince or her ambitious mother? Share your thoughts on this story, and thank you for watching.